Hey everybody, this is your video for 3-4 Math Excel. Now on this particular assignment, all of the first ones are going to be on there, but then some on Savvis will and some on Math Excel for School. And so I'll point that out. But these first few are on both. It says find the maximum value of the objective function and the values of x and y for which it occurs. So the bottom part here is similar to what you've been doing on 3-3. The difference is you have another function, the objective function. Sometimes they call it f, sometimes they call it p. And it just has something x plus something y. And so the first step would be graph this like you did before and shade the feasible region. In order to do that, what I did was I used my x and y intercepts because that's very simple. Because, for example, if you cover up this term, act like y is 0, then you can say 3x equal 45, so x is 15, and 2x equal 32, so x is 16. Then you can do it for this term also. So then you'd have 5y equal 45, so y is 9, and 4y equal 32, so y is 8. And so use these 4 points, the 0, 8, the 0, 9, the 15, 0, the 16, 0. So those are going to be used for your lines. The 9 and 15 went on the same line, and the 8 and 16 went on the same line. So for the 3 corners that we know, since both of these were less than, it was less or to the left basically. You had to use this boundary and you had to use the 15 boundary, not the 16 boundary. So your fourth vertex is right there. So how you get your fourth vertex is your intersection of 2 slanted lines, that one and that one. So you could do this on the calculator, or you could solve it through elimination or graphing or tables or substitution. You really could do it any method. But the main thing is to get your fourth vertex. I suppose on Math Excel, when the graphs are extremely accurate, you can actually just count and see your point, as long as you pay attention to the scale factor. So what I did was I decided I'm going to cancel out my x's, and so I multiplied my top 2 parts by 2 and my bottom 2 parts by -3. I do that so that I can get 6x and minus 6x. So this part you've done before. You do 2 times 3x is 6x, 2 times 5y is 10y, 2 times 45 is 90, -3 times 2x is -6x, -3 times 4y is -12y, and 32 times -3 is -96. Now you cancel that, and then this is -2y equal -6, so y equal 3. So then find your x value by doing 3 times x plus 5 times 3. You just plug that in. I use this equation, equal 45. And so then this is 15, 45 minus 15 is 30, 30 divided by 3 is 10. So that means the order here is 10, 3. And that does look like a reasonable answer. Okay, so now how this is different is you now need to put those vertices in a table and figure out the f or p values sometimes as to what they are. So for the vertice that was 0, 0, you're going to have 0 for your f function. For 0, 8, you do 0 plus 3 times 8 is 24. For this one, you do 4 times 15 plus 0 is 60, and 10 times 4 plus 3 times 3 is 49. So in this problem, they want the max, so that'd be 60, And so the max is 60 when it's 15 for x and 0 for y. Sometimes they want the minimum, but usually they want the maximum. On the next one, they say graph the system of constraints, name all vertices, then find the values of x and y that maximize or minimize. And in this case, they gave you the equation for the maximum. So first off on this one, we go x between 2 and 6. So that would have to be vertical lines. And then y between 1 and 9. So those are horizontal lines. Then you have your x plus y equal 12. Well, it says less than. But when you put it equal, then you cover up this one. So act like y is 0, so x is 12. And on this one, act like x is 0, so y is 12. So those are the 2 points you can use to graph your line. So again, on this one, we know 2, 1 is a point, and 6, 1 is a point. Those are the 2 easiest ones to get. And then on the rest, you just use your graph and do your intersection to get the others. For example, this one is 2, 9. There's also a 3, 9, which is next to it because it's horizontal. It's drawn better than I have. And then you also have 6, 6. So for that one, if I plug in x is 6, then I was able to find out that this point right here is 6, 6. And again, for the 2, 9, you plug in your 2 to the function and see what it was. So, alright, so once you get those corners, then list them in a table, list your maximum function, and you can see plugging in a lot of values. So 114 was our maximum value, and that happened when x was 6 and y was 6. So that was our answer. On the next one, it says baking a tray of corn muffins takes 12 cups milk and 7 cups wheat flour. Baking a tray of bran muffins takes 6 cups of milk and 7 cups of wheat flour. A baker has 60 cups and 42 cups of wheat flour. He makes $3 profit from the corn and $2 from the bran. How many trays of each type should he use to maximize profit? So as far as your cups of milk, it takes 12 times however many corn muffins, so 12x, and then 6y, and then the total was 60 because it's 60 cups of milk. So that leads to this inequality. As far as the wheat, it says 7 cups of wheat for each one. So 7x plus 7y less than or equal to 42 was your maximum. We put other constraints in, like you can't have negative ones. On just about all of these, you're going to be in quadrant 1. And then your objective function in this one is your $3 profit times x and $2 profit times y. Add those together. So I drew my lines from the saying the 12x was 0, so this is 0, so that's how you get 10. And then you cover up this one, and 60 divided by 12 is 5. Cover up this one, so you get 6. Cover up this one, so you get 6. So these are your ordered pairs to use to graph the lines. To me, intercepts is one of the easier ways to graph because it's quicker than just solving for y on every single equation. So you would also have fractions with solving for y. So this is a pretty good method. And then the 6 and 6 were on the same line, and the 10 and 5 were on the same line. Now for the intersection, you just take your 12x plus 6y equals 60 and your 7x plus 7y equal 42. This one I just did on the calculator because it would have been a harder elimination problem to do. It would have been doable, but it just would have taken more time. And so this corner right there was 4, 2. Remember, if you want to, you don't even have to solve for y on the calculator. You could just make it a relation and say 12x plus 6y equals 60. So we graph the line 7x plus 7y equal 42. So it graphed that line. Then you can go menu 6, 4 between here and here. And that's how you get your 4, 2. So yes, it's best practice to learn how to solve for y because you need to know how to do it for a section on the SAT and for some other reasons. But you can also use this. Now, once you have your line drawn for your intersection, we're going to want less than or equal to for both of these, and so it's to the left of the 6, it's left here, and left of the 5. So that's going to be your shaded region, and then you use your points, and when you have zeros for both x and y, it's 0. When you're plugging in 0 for x, that goes away, and then you do 2 times 6 is 12. On this one you do 3 times 5 is 15, and the other term is 0. And this one you do 3 times 4 plus 2 times 2, which is 16. So the 4-2 combination was just slightly better than the 5-0. So what that means is there are 4 trays of corn muffins and 2 trays of bran muffins. Sometimes you'll notice that the one without zeros is the right answer, but sometimes with the zeros. It just depends on the problem. Okay, this is extra practice A. So your z function in this case, instead of p or f, is 3x plus 7y. Again, we know we have to be in quadrant 1 because we have to have positive x's and positive y's. And one of your inequalities is x plus y is greater than or equal to 1. So for that one, again, cover up y, you get x is 1. Cover up x, you get x is 1. So that's going to be the 2 ordered pairs I used to draw that line. It is going to be to the right because it's greater than or equal to. The next one is 3x plus 4y less than or equal to 24. So cover up this, 24 divided by 3 is 8, so that's 8, 0. And cover up this one, so 24 divided by 4 is 6, so 0, 6. So you use your 8 and your 6 to draw that line, and it's to the left. And then you have another one with basically the coefficients switched. So you use 6 and 8 to draw that line as well. Okay, so it's to the left of this one. Okay, so the point you don't know is this intersection. So if you graph this and try to get it through the calculator, you will have lots of decimal places. And so you're not going to be able to do it that way because it's not going to estimate the fraction properly. So if you ever get a problem like this, you're going to have to solve it by hand, whether it's elimination or another method. To me, the best one was elimination. I wanted to get 12x and negative 12x here, so I multiplied by 4 and negative 3. So 4 times 3x is 12x, 4 times 4y is 16y, 24 times 4 is 96. Then negative 3 times 4x is negative 12x, negative 4x. Negative 3 times 4x is 3y, that's negative 9y. And 24 times negative 3 is negative 72. Then you just drop it down, subtract as you need to. This cancels. You have 7y is less than or equal to 24, so then you get 24/7. So then what I did is on my calculate screen, I did 24 divided by 7, and sure enough, it gave me this with all the decimal places. So it was that value for both x and y, 24/7. Then you make your table and plug in 42 was the max. The 240 divided by 7, which I got here, was 34.3. So this is an example where you get a max with 0, a number. Alright, so that was extra practice A. All of those problems are on everybody's Math Excel. Now, these are some review problems that are on Savvis, but it doesn't have help me solve this. Because it was taken from the quiz and the numbers don't change. So I'm not going to tell you the exact answer for every single thing, but I'll just talk about the process. So it's talking about something from 3.1 having x minus 2y equal negative 7 and 2x plus y equals 6. So what I would do is try to cancel my y's just by multiplying by 2. So I get x minus 2y equal negative 7 and 4x plus 2y equal 12. From there you need to solve it on your own. Just do what we did before. On this one it says you and a friend start a typing class at the same time. You measure your speed weekly in words per minute. If the trend continues, how many weeks can you expect to type as quickly as your friend, and how many words per minute? So you go 0, 1, 2, 3. Your words per minute are 13, 16, 19, 22, and your friends are 20, 22, 24, 26. So the first thing you're going to need to do for this is actually come up with your equation. And it's not that bad. Your weeks are counting by 1, and so your change in y is actually going to be what your slope is. Think of 16 minus 13 is 3, and then 1 minus 0 is 1, so your slope is 3. And you already have the y-intercept, it's 13. So that's how you do it. So you're counting by 3's, so your slope's 3. This one you're counting by 2's because your slope is 2. Because your x values are only counting by 1. That's when it's very simple. From there you're going to want to graph it or find another way and solve. Okay, in the next one, in business, a cost function best describes the total costs associated with a given level of production. A revenue function describes the amount of money received at a given level of production. And then it has some more things. I'm not going to write out the entire problem. Suppose the system of equations containing the revenue and cost is an inconsistent system. What does this mean in the context? So your choices are: the business is going to sell lots of products, will sell products for a very high price, will never profit, and will make lots of profits. So if it's inconsistent, that means no solution or parallel lines. And so you need to think about which of these would cause that to happen. Just multiple choice. Okay, then you have an example on solving algebraically. From this one, I decided to multiply by 3. So your x's cancel, and it turns out your y's cancel also, and your numbers. So this is always true. So then you got to think about, what does that mean? Just look at your answer choices. Is it going to be no solution, infinitely many, or is it at a point? Your next one, how can you tell that a system of linear equations will have infinitely many solutions without computation? Graph and see they don't intersect, same coefficient for x, both have a negative coefficient for y, or one is a multiple of the other. So again, what does it mean for infinitely many solutions compared to no solution? What's the difference between those? The next one, you and your friend are saving for a vacation. You must start with the same amount and save for the same number of weeks. You save $75 per week and your friend saves $50 per week. When vacation time comes, you have $950 and your friend has $800. How much did you start with, and how many weeks did you save? So these are your multiple choice. What we know is, since we're talking about you, it's 75 per week, so 75 is your slope. And we know we end up with 950. So you're going to have 75x plus something gives you 950. So then let's just try options. If you try D, it's going to be 75 times 2 weeks plus 700. And that's 850, not 950. So it's not D. But then just plug in these for x and plug in these for the y-intercept and see what you end up with. Okay, then the last one for Savas is this one. Basically, if you notice a plus of that, all you have to do is multiply by -1 or subtract. So I just changed the sign of these, and then you go -6x and you get -3 here. From there you'll need to continue solving. So pretty basic one. Alright, so that's the end of the Savas. Now on the same video I'm going to talk a little bit about the Math Excel for School. It did have those first few that we talked about, and then it has some others related to the z function or the p function. So it says, given a graph and the objective function z equals 6x plus 5y, find the value of the function at a, and so on A you were given this ordered pair 3, 10, and you just do 6 times 3 plus 5 times 10 and get your number. And you have to do that with other answers. And then the max would occur at the largest z, like whatever the largest number is, the minimum at the smallest. So just like we did, on the first few. On the next one, it's the same thing with different function values and points. So those two are alike. By the way, these probably will show up on your review for your test for anybody. On the next one, the objective function is z equal 5x plus 12y, and your constraints are you have to be in quadrant 1 with positive x, positive y, and you have x plus y less than or equal to 11, so those are the points you use. Just like earlier, cover up this, cover up that, and you get your 2 points to make the line. And on this one, you get 19, 0, and you get 19 halves for this one. So graph it in its multiple choice. You need to find the value at each corner, like we did before, and determine the maximum and what that ordered pair was. And same thing for that one. On your next one, it's talking about the objective function z equal 5x plus y. And again, you're in quadrant 1, and then these are your 3 inequalities. So you're given an ordered pair, and you've got to plug in those and get numbers. Then use the values to determine the max and where it happened. So very similar to what we've been doing throughout this. This next one says a student earns $12 per hour for tutoring and $5 per hour as a teacher's aide. X is your hours tutoring, Y is your hours as a teacher's aide. First, you need to write your objective function, so this is actually an answer. I mean, the numbers change, but it's 12 per hour for tutoring, so 12x plus 5y. Then they list out in words the constraints, and you have to come up with this part. So to have enough time for students, work no more than, or for studies, work no more than 15 hours. So x plus y is less than or equal to 15. So the next one, the tutoring center requires at least 3 hours of work. Well, the tutoring center would be x, not y. That'd be the teacher's aide. So it's x greater than or equal to 3. And again, tutoring center requires no more than 8, so x less than or equal to 8. So those are your constraints. Then you need to choose your graph, and then evaluate your 4 vertices by plugging into that. And you get 36, or I got 36, 96, 96, 131. So that's my max. What they want you to do is list them with a comma between them. And then describe the solution. The student can earn the maximum amount by doing 8 hours of tutoring and 7 hours of TA. The max amount is 131. So again, this would be a good one for any person to know. Okay, and then you have the one about skis, manufacturing time per ski and finishing time per ski. And you have your downhill, your cross country. So you use this table, and they also tell you the maximum total weekly hours are 60 and 28 respectively. And so that means these go together and these go together. Then your profit per ski is 70 for each for this one. When I recalculated it, sometimes it put 80. So just pay attention to your numbers. Then it says how many of each would it need to achieve maximum profit. So you're going to have the same steps as before, but it's only one blank. So I could see spending some time on this like you did before, graphing it, plugging in all of your corner values to here. Find the corner values and your p-values, and then the answer is the xy with the highest dollar amount. And so again, it only has the final answer. And then it does the exact same thing with these two, with only one xy answer. Alright, so that is the end of the Math Excel video. Hope you all have a good one and that helps. Some of those will show up on the review. Everybody will see them. You need to pay attention.